We're joined now by Carlos Alzugaray from Havana. He's a former Cuban ambassador to Brussels and currently professor of international relations at the University of Havana. Welcome to our broadcast. How will Fidel Castro be remembered in Cuba by those who are alive before the revolution and post-revolution?
Well, I think we are going to remember him as the guy who founded the new Cuba free from the corruption of the previous system, the new Cuba with a very high level of education, the new Cuba with a health system that really takes care of everyone, and most important, a new Cuba that was not only independent of the United States, but a country who had a considerable influence all over the world because of its support of anti-colonialist and anti-apartheid struggles. Cuba was basically, and is basically, an anti-hegemonic country. Cuba's government and Cuban people don't want an international system that is dominated by one power and insist that one of the most important ways to do about the world is international cooperation.
Are Cubans skeptical of the U.S. President-elect Trump and the normalizing of relations?
Well, I think we are following very closely what's happening in the United States. Of course, as everybody else, we have been surprised that Trump was elected, but the fact of the matter, he's now the president of the United States. A government, he presides now over a government that began a normalization process with Cuba. We hope that Donald Trump continues this process. He's got an advantage over President Obama. He is now the head of the Republican Party. The Republican Party controls Congress, and Congress is the only one who can lift the embargo. So if he wants to lift the embargo, it should be easier for him, or even easier than for Hillary Clinton if she had won, to lift the embargo.
Will Raul Castro loosen his policies after these 9 days of mourning, in your opinion?
I think what's going to happen is that change is going to come faster for two reasons. One, because the existence or the presence of Mr. Trump in the White House will make it more necessary to advance, to progress, especially in the economic reform process. And secondly, because of the fact that Fidel is not here. It's something that, with all the respect that we have for Fidel, when you have a situation like the one we had, there are things that maybe you postpone because your old man is there in the house, and maybe you think that if you do some reform, he wouldn't like it. So you refrain even about talking about it. So now maybe that aspect of the problem would be out of the way, and we can accomplish much more things than we did accomplish before.
How was he able to survive in power for as long as he did, with many people hurting?
Well, I think the fact of the matter is that he was a man of extraordinary capabilities as a politician, as a leader, with a lot of charisma. He also had a lot of luck. I mean, if you take into account all the assassination plots against him, and they never achieved what they wanted, obviously some kind of luck must have been there. But obviously he was a very smart leader. But I think that what mainly he did was materialize a large part of the frustrated expectations of Cuba. Cubans wanted a different country with more social justice, independence, elimination of corruption, and he achieved that very early in the process. So I think that was a political capital that was extraordinary. Then he became the voice of the downtrodden, of the small countries, of the third world. Even from the first time he was at the United Nations in 1960, when he was only 34 years old. The guy simply made one of the most important speeches in the United Nations that really put there the struggle of the third world for a better world.
Well, Carlos Alzugaray, we certainly appreciate your time joining us from Havana. Thank you.